All right, welcome back to Falcon Blues TV, and I'm delighted to have a very special guest for our Spurs preview from the Fighting Cock podcast. Brilliant name, by the way. It's Flav. Flav, thank you so much for joining us, mate. Appreciate you taking the time to join the pod.
No worries, mate. Happy to be here. Obviously, always happy to talk about Spurs, although we're not the most exciting team in the world at the moment.
Well, Everton are hardly pulling up trees either anyway, so, birds of a feather and that,
Yeah.
But we're just looking at we're going to look towards the Spurs game on Sunday and, just how Spurs are doing in general, get your general feel about things. But at the moment, it's only 3 points separating Everton and Spurs. But how have you felt since Thomas Frank's come into the side and, obviously taken over since Ange, Europa League and everything else, but it's like, well, have you taken that next step, and do you feel like things are changing for the better for you?
Well, look, I mean, what Tottenham Hotspur were last season was a team that sort of failed in the league, that for large proportions of it, we didn't really take seriously, or it certainly didn't prioritise over the Europa League, and that was in the hope that we'd managed to lift that trophy, which we eventually ended up doing. But having won in Bilbao, the conversation had to go back to the Premier League. And if you're a club the size of Tottenham or Everton or whoever it might be, you have to be able to fight on more than one front. And we just weren't able to do that. And there were massive injuries. There were mitigating circumstances. And one of those circumstances was the way Ange Postecoglou went about setting up his team. And so Thomas Frank had a job to do when he came in, which was stabilise Tottenham and make us difficult to beat, and have an eye on sort of a top 6 place in the league. And you can't argue that he has done that.
Yeah.
So there has been progression in that respect, except it's just not a brand of football that many Spurs fans at this stage are finding very palatable.
Well, how did you feel last night then? Obviously. And you've got a fair few fixtures coming up, which we'll talk about in just a sec. But
yeah,
in the Champions League again against Monaco last night, finished 0-0. I didn't watch it myself, but how did you just play? Were you happy with the result? Do you think you could have got more out of it?
No, a happy result that we didn't lose. A draw in the end was we were lucky to have it, I think.
Right.
But if you don't play well, don't lose. I think and that's kind of the way Frank might apply his logic to football matches. We weren't very good. In fact, I would say we're poor. And the conversation is around Bentancur and Paulinho playing in that midfield too, which doesn't really... It leaves a big gap between the two midfielders and whoever's playing in the 10. Last night, it would have been Xavi Alonso. So we have an issue. So playing those two in midfield makes us difficult to beat, you would argue, and that has proven through the season. But we just missed that sort of creative link between that defensive midfield to the attacking players, and that's what we're seeing over and over again. Is it's just this lack of ingenuity and lack of quality going forward. However, it's really early days, right?
Yeah.
You can't. The final form of Thomas Frank's Tottenham Hotspur isn't what we're watching now. It can't be, and they can't be looking at it and thinking that they're anything other than frustrated like fans are.
Mm-hmm.
But they have their priorities and they know what they need to work on. And as fans, we need to be patient, I think, and just trust that Frank and his backroom team will be able to get us creating chances and looking dangerous because we don't look incredible at the moment.
Yeah, I like the way you say that, patience, and I think that also applies to Evertonians in the main as well. I mean, obviously we've had our ups and downs over the recent years, relegation battles, point deductions and whatever. But since David Moyes has come in, you're thinking, okay, well, we know the style of play that David Moyes and the brand that he can bring to Everton. We should just be picking up where he left off, really. And I think sometimes I'm absolutely, I will constantly say, why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing that? It's like, it's going to take time to rebuild your side. It's going to take time to rebuild Everton as well. But I'm far too impatient at the moment.
Is he popular, David Moyes?
Yeah. I mean, he's not my ideal choice, just for reasons beyond, just how he left the club originally. I know he comes away with the Europa League with West Ham, and everyone, yeah, brilliant, absolutely amazing. And West Ham are gutted that now we're in the situation that they're in, losing Potter, and now they've got new managers in and everything else, and it's just like Everton, for me, and I think everyone just seems it's more like a comfort blanket for a lot of Evertonians. It's like, okay, we know what we get with Moyes. We know what to expect. We know that maybe the first half of the season isn't going to be as fantastic as we want it to be, but we know there's always that second half of the season syndrome that Everton tend to have under David Moyes. So I think, yeah, in the main, people are happy. We're unbeaten at Hill Dickinson Stadium at the moment as well. So people are genuinely happy. I think there's just there is sometimes rumblings. You look at the Wolves game the other week. You look at just games where we should have won that. We should. Why are we changing sides to why are we making 9 changes
in the
side? Do you know
League Cup?
Yeah,
I remember.
The Wolves game. We beat them 3-2. 2 weeks
and then
earlier.
Lost 2-0, didn't you? After,
and it was just like, well, where the hell was that attitude there? And I know he's bringing in other players and squad players and trying to make the side, workable for the entire squad, but that still sticks in my craw. And like, no, that was one with me. That that's strike one. There's going to be other ones. I know there will be, but looking at your, obviously you've had the result last night. You've come away with a draw. Your defeat to Aston Villa at the weekend as well. Do you think also your fixture pile up as well that you've got coming? Because obviously you've got we from the 19th right up until the 4th of November. You've got like 6 games in the space of 14 days.
Tricky ones as well.
And I know you want your teams to be your squads to be playing as much as possible, but that's tight, especially with it being the League Cup, with it being the Champions League. You're travelling up to Everton. You're travelling to Newcastle midweek, and then you've got your 2 home games, and one of them is the Champions League. I know you're saying there that it's not the finished article, but do you want to see yourselves playing in such a tight schedule, especially with Christmas coming up as well? We haven't even started the Christmas schedule.
Yeah, but that's a sign of success, isn't it? You have to relish this stuff. If we're in the Champions League, you know what it entails, and we bought in some decent players. We're lacking in some areas of the squad. We've got a very young team, but yeah, you relish that. You want to play. You want to be playing as often as possible, and you have to perform. And what's the point in being in it? So, no, I don't worry about the pile up. I think it's the same for everybody who's in the Champions League and in the Europa League places and the Conference League. And so you have to take this as an opportunity to use your squad. I don't think anybody, and there's no Spurs fan out there that thinks we can win the Champions League and compete in the Premier League. You understand and accept the fallout from playing European football that it has an impact in the league form. But there's no doubt that being a participant of the Champions League, given all the money attached now, moves your club forward and enables you to attract a certain brand of football. So you can't, if it gives you those positives, complain about fixture pile up. That's part of it. So I don't want to hear my manager talking about it. I would let's rather they just get on with it. I don't want to hear players moaning about it because they're paid untold amount of money, and it's on the manager to protect his players and rotate the squad accordingly. And we've got a deep squad that spent a lot of money on it, so I look forward to it. And the issues at Tottenham aren't about fixture pile up. The issues are about us getting to a position where we look dangerous and want to attack teams. And when Spurs playing in the style that we do, we'll get results away from home that people don't expect. In fact, we have the best away record in the Premier League. We're number 1 in terms of results away from home. It's at home where teams are a little bit more compact and try and play sort of counter-attacking football that they perhaps wouldn't get away with it playing at home, where we struggle with mostly. And, we got lost to Aston Villa. I don't know if you've seen the 2 goals that they scored. They were like incredible. And 99 times out of 10, Matty Cash strikes that ball and it goes out. Or certainly Digne doesn't pluck it out of the air and play it back to Bendia. So, you have to take those on your chin.
They're the kinds of goals that are going to beat you. Effectively,
you can't legislate for them, can you?
Yeah, that's it.
And Villa didn't create much more other than that. So, look, it's just one of them, really. And I feel like it will come. Fans are being impatient, but I almost feel more comfortable, say, going away to Everton on Sunday than I would if we were playing you at home. Weirdly.
Yeah. So with your away form, then looking what have you made of Everton so far this season?
So I watched what did we watch? We watched obviously the Merseyside derby, where I thought Everton were more than in that game. Second half, really give it a good go. The obvious is I like the fact that Grealish is now playing with freedom and he has a manager that's just going to let him play and he was under such restriction and such restriction. He won the treble with Man City, so whatever that scenario was worked. But he is a player, a throwback, a maverick, and a mercurial player that you love to watch play football. And I was really hoping that he would sign for Spurs, and I know Baz from Toffee Fan TV quite well, and he was talking about this Grealish deal happening before it had happened, and I was like, no chance. Like, surely he's going to get Champions League club, something like that. And he's just been great. But moreover, more than him, I love Ndiaye up front. He's
the one who's in the shop window at the moment, isn't he? Yeah.
Like, he's magic. He's been magic for a while, but he has had that career trajectory sort of planned out for him. But he, for me, was the one that stood out when you annihilated us last season at Goodison. He was the one that stood out. So it'd be him, and obviously Branthwaite. I'm a big fan of him. If he can stay fit, and defensively, you got some issues as we all have in the league. So he's going to be crucial to. He's a great player. Do you mean the fact that he signed? Is it long-term deal, like 2030, something like that? Yeah,
I think it's about a 5-year deal. But obviously, we're 6 months into that, and he's still injured at the moment. He's just had another operation in the week, which is probably going to keep him out till January. So
January, right? As I say, because if you can get him fit and he stays fit, then you've suddenly got like a solid looking back line. So if you can get him back and he stays fit, that's crucial for Everton's future. But yeah, the forward line is where it's at, and you don't look like you've missed. What's his name?
Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah, Calvert-Lewin. You don't look like you're missing him at all, really. So
no, I mean, because it's the same kind of player that we've got in Beto and Barry. Neither of them are scoring goals either at the moment. So it's sort of like, well, we could have kept Calvert-Lewin, and he probably could have been in the same situation where he's not scoring goals, and we've offered him this ridiculous contract to keep him, and then he's still not scoring goals. So
yeah,
I think we were better off cutting our losses with him in the end. He's not pulling up trees at Leeds either. So it's sort of like, well, bullet dodged really. We've had him at the club for that long that maybe he'd outstayed his welcome at Everton. It was just more a case of, well, now is the time to cut our losses, get rid, and see if we can put the money towards something else. Because obviously we have, when we've gone and brought in Dewsbury Hall or part of Jack Grealish's wages.
And just obviously at home you've had some good wins, like beating Brighton at home. Brighton are a decent side. You've seen them; they're starting to sort of click into gear. So that was a big win. I think, have you unbeaten? Have you lost it?
Yeah, we're unbeaten at Hill Dickinson as well. Like, so your away form brilliant, and our home form's just as good. So it's
it'll be interesting, isn't it? You said you call it the Hill Dickinson Stadium, and I know it's like is it a law firm in Liverpool, something like that?
Yeah, it's one of the oldest, and they were actually, they're all from Liverpool. Like, so my cousin is actually on the board as well.
Oh, really?
He's one of the partners there. Like, so, but yeah, I mean, the money they offered was eye-watering. We couldn't turn that down for the naming rights, really. I think they've got a 5-year deal or something like that, which is worth about £100 million over that period. So, this is the kinds of things that Everton needed to do to be up there. I know you guys are still called the Tottenham Stadium, which is, that's great for you, but I think Everton needed that influx of cash and that opportunity to go, well, actually, we need to start looking more like a business rather than just a football club.
Yeah, it does feel like that you've kind of moved in that direction, and obviously we all have, and not least Tottenham Hotspur. I think that the naming rights to the stadium eventually will be sold, although there's talk at the moment that they're actually going to sell the stands as opposed to the naming, so that there is a brand value in calling it the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium whenever there's a boxing match there, or if there's Beyonce, it's always referred to as Tottenham Hotspur. So in terms of reaffirming that name as a global brand, I think there was a point to that, but eventually it will have to be sold. And now it's known as the Hill Dickinson Stadium, you could change it, and it would still, it's what's entrenched in the mind of the football fans. So they've done well to name it, and it looks good. From outside, it's class. I like the side. It's like wooden. And
no, it's red brick. It's not a red brick building. It's like, it is like steel, but they're like concrete slabs basically that look brick, so it's like attached to it.
So from a distance, like looking at it, it looks like it. I didn't realize that. I don't know the history and when the method that goes into building this stadium, but from the outside, it looks very cool. Oh yeah, so now you say it's clear that it is like a sort of red bricky kind of look. But it looks class. It looks really, really good. And obviously, inevitably, you needed to move from Goodison, and you have to get that move right, because it is a big thing. Even though it's sensible and it's the right thing to do, it's a massive undertaking, and not everybody gets it right. And we're looking at what's happened at West Ham at the moment with
exactly.
Mate, the London Stadium is an awful place to watch football. I don't know if you've been there, but it's terrible. It's and you feel for them, even like not as West Ham fans, but as fans of football. What they're
that's it.
Do you know what I mean?
Especially when you like me. I've been to Upton Park numerous times, and it's like it's like moving away from Goodison. It's got that life. It's got that spirit that and you recognise, and everyone like you say, not just fans of West Ham, fans of football in general. I used to love going to Berlin. Used to love going to Upton Park and stuff like that. And now you go in there and it's like, well, I may as well just go watch the Athletics.
I can't say I ever loved going to the Boleyn. It was not the nicest experience as a Spurs fan, but I understand it's a proper football stadium, weren't it? And the Everton fans the West Ham fans have been sold down the river. They really have. And it's a shame. So it's good that for Everton, you guys, they've seemingly have got this right. How have you found it?
Love it.
Yeah,
there's still some teething problems with the transport and everything else, but I think if you just take it for what it is, you're going to be your match day ritual is now an extra couple of hours in getting yourself in the ground, getting yourself set up, and okay, well, I've got to get from the ground. It was easy getting to Goodison, no doubt about that.
Yeah.
This is just it is all teething problems, and it's brand new. We're not even we haven't even played 10 games at the new stadium yet. So it's sort of like, okay, well, everyone's trying to get their own routines. Everyone's trying to figure out what new pub to go to. Where shall I meet my mates? Where shall I get dropped off?
Lots of bars and pubs around there.
There's a few going in. There's like 3 or 4 at the moment that are open, but then there's another one like the Falcon is actually part of a couple of other pubs. So the landlord of the Falcon, which is where we record from, has a pub right opposite the ground called the Old Lady, which is going to be opening around January time. So that's 4 floors.
So they've built that specially for the stadium?
No. Well, they're going to be building it for the stadium, but it's basically derelict buildings all along the front or behind and on Regent Road, where people are just buying them up and then saying, okay, well, I'll turn that into a pub, I'll turn that into a bar, or somewhere to go and eat. But there's about 4 or 5 pubs at the moment that are currently open, starting from the Bramley Moor pub right the way down to the Coast Bar, which is like a little further along, but they've all got their own little personalities and quirks that everyone's trying to get used to and stuff like that. So it is good. It's really enjoyable. Like, okay, this week I'll go in that pub. This week I'll go in that one. So it's nice the new experience every time.
It's how as the crow flies, like how close is it to Goodison, where Goodison is?
Walking probably about 25-30 minutes. By car probably about 10. Okay, it's not that far. I mean, it's in between going from Goodison to the city centre. It's right on the waterfront. So
yeah, I know. I noticed that. So it's only a couple of miles, really. So they've done well, really, to keep it in the area. I know, like building in a city, a project that big is difficult, really hard to do. And obviously, I know from the Spurs stadium, we in the end tried to buy the plot that West Ham. Well, we tried to get a hold of the plot. out of the London Stadium, but our plan was to knock it down completely and build a new stadium there. Thank the Lord, we West Ham said no, we'll keep that stadium, and so that we're never going to win that. So we had no choice really but to knock down our old stadium and build right on top of it. But that was just the start of the process, right? There was years and years and years before we even laid a brick. There were years of buying up properties, compulsory purchase orders, forcing business out of the area or moving to a relocation, being financially rewarded for it, but still forcing people to do something that probably didn't want to do. And it took 10, I don't know how long it took in total, but years and years and years before we could even be think about laying a brick. It's impossible to really build a project that big inside a cosmopolitan city like Liverpool or London. So it was it's impressive that you've found a way.
Well, that's why we've had to build out. That's why we had to dredge the dock itself, and then
is that what happened?
Yeah, so we dredged the dock out, and then we had to go get sand and silt and everything else. I think it was from towards the Isle of Man, and start building it up. So we've almost had to build our own little island.
So where the stadium is, so I'm looking at a map. So it kind of points out into the river.
Into the Mersey itself,
yeah. And so you had to. That's new. All the foundations is new.
We've infilled the dock.
No.
We filled that in. So they were coming in with the trawlers and with the open bottoms and just dropping the silt down into the ground, into the river and draining it.
That's
so we've actually built that. We've actually built our own. It's Bramley Moor Dock, but it's been filled in to basically a little island almost. But then the whole stadium is on that space.
Yeah, and Bramley Moor Dock is that entire. Is it specific to that area, or does it span a large part?
Well, it's Bramley Moor Dock, and I think next door to it is Clarence Dock and something like that. There's a few dock names along that wall, but then Bramley Moor was the larger of the ones that we've got.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating. It's fascinating.
So, looking at your stadium, then obviously you're now 6 years in. But what teething problems did you face if you were trying to move into the stadium after it was built?
I mean, the obvious answer would be transport, because of basically what you said in terms of it's the same spot, but it had the same infrastructure. White Hart Lane Station, which is the main service, the buses coming in, but also the main train station coming into the area, had to be rebuilt to cater for more people, which happened at the same time as the stadium was being built. So that helped, but you're doubling the amount of people that are coming into the area. So it takes a long while to get away from Tottenham.
Yeah.
And it always has, to be honest, but especially now. In terms of playing inside the stadium, there is an emotional connection to what was before.
Yeah.
And the amazing memories that you guys have had in Goodison, we had in White Hart Lane. And that shift is difficult to let go of. And honestly, I don't think I have, and I don't think many Spurs fans have. I'm not sure we ever will.
Yeah.
I think there is a deep connection to what the stadium used to be, which is the irony here is that obviously that stadium was new in itself, right? So the stands that my dad and my granddad frequented many, many years ago were knocked down and been rebuilt anyway. So you could argue that what we have now is just an extension of what we had previously. But because it was knocked down in its entirety, there was something that was lost. And you got to remember that the team that we had from 2015 to 2018, where we left, or it might have been a bit before that, was excellent. Right, we were unbeaten at home in our last season at White Hart Lane. Maybe that was 2016-17. Anyway, it's hard to remember the date specifically, but we had a brilliant team. We went unbeaten at home. We went for Leicester in the league, so this is the best side we've all experienced, and obviously that was in the old stadium, and then we had to stay at Wembley for a few years, so it was difficult really, but it's just that letting go and understanding that this is a new chapter, and it won't be the same, and the atmosphere will be different, and it will take time to have those moments that will be etched into the fabric of your new stadium. It takes a long time. I would say the atmosphere at the new stadium is nowhere near as good as the old stadium.
Right.
It's just not. it's just a different experience.
Yeah.
You know, you spend time. It's almost like an event now. You go to Tottenham, you eat your food there, you drink in the stands. What you're provided for is like, it's like they've tried to capture as much as your match day as possible and take as much as your money, and it costs a fortune to get into our stadium. So, I think there are atmosphere issues. There are groups that are working or trying to work with the football club, and are trying to fix that. But it's going to take a long, long time, and especially with the type of brand of football we're playing at the moment, not everyone's going to be that excited to sing and dance. I would say those were the teething problems. But you also have to accept that this is the way football is moving and has moved.
Yeah,
and you have to generate the money if you want to compete, and that ultimately is what we all want to see: our football team playing good football with the best players.
Yeah.
So you have to. But it's something it would need to be working on. And if I was a part of any kind of group at Everton at the moment, I would be talking to the owners about sections of the stadium that can be allocated for atmosphere generating groups.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the case next season, because I know we've got the rail seating in the lower part of the south stand, which was, I think they were almost trying to reinvent the south stand as the new Gladys Street. It was like, okay, well, you're down there, that you've got what you wanted, you can stand up all the way through the game, generate the atmosphere that the club needs, that the stadium needs, So, but I think people will start moving around next season. I think it was more a case of get your ticket, get in the ground. Then I'll decide next season whether I want to move to another part of the stand, or I'm happy where I am. But I think there'll be a lot of changes in where people are actually sitting next season, if that becomes available, and then that you'll see a generation of the energy and the atmosphere that you want to see it, like that you want to try and recreate that we had at Goodison. So,
indeed.
But okay then. So looking to Sunday then, Flav. Obviously, Spurs top of the away form. Everton unbeaten at Hill Dickinson. I will always say Goodison. I will never get this right.
No, don't worry, mate. I still call it White Lane.
I live. But go on then. We'll give us a score prediction, or give us a prediction for the weekend then.
I think we'll win 2-1. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't expect necessarily for us to come out and really attack Everton. It'll be solid. It'll be compact.
Yeah.
In Paulinho in midfield, we have one of the best, probably the best tackling midfielder in the league. Him and Caicedo. He just loves getting stuck in.
Yeah.
So we'll be over reliant on Kudus. A lot of our work goes to Kudus and trying to hit him on that right wing. And maybe Kolo Muani will make his first start for Tottenham. It will. I don't expect the best game of football ever, but I think we'll get a result 2-1.
Yeah, I think Everton always seem to have the better of Thomas Frank, given his time at Brentford. So I'll go for a 2-0 win for the Toffees. I think, like you say, Kudus is your main attacking one, especially if you can get at Michalenko on the left there. But then you're saying about your midfield, we've got one in Garner Gay.
Yeah,
who rolls back the years every time he plays for Everton. So the lad just keeps running, keeps tackling. I'd love him to be able to pass, but that's another thing. I just want him to tackle. That's all that matters to me. But with having Grealish back in, Keenan Dewsbury Hall back in the side as well, I think we can give you a good game this weekend. I think, and we need to keep that unbeaten run at the new stadium as well. And that's where we need to be. But one thing I just want to ask then, because obviously, I was going to mention managers, but I can't be bothered talking about Sean Dyche, if I'm honest. With Postecoglou going to Forest. But tell me about Richarlison, because for a lot of Evertonians, Richarlison is still that one player that we let go, and we really shouldn't, especially given we can't score goals at the minute. But is he injured again? Is he out?
No, he's playing. Do you want him back in January?
I could honestly see us going for him. I think if you go for Ivan Toney in January window, which is what I'm looking at, I think that because obviously he wants to try and get back in the England squad. I think there'll be cries from Evertonians to go get him and just get him back for 6 months. Similar to when we sold Stephen Pienaar 2 years.
That's right.
We were trying out to get him back at Everton, because players suit clubs. Do you know?
No, I appreciate obviously that you've got. I'm talking to Everton fans here, but I would drive Richarlison back to you, and I wouldn't even ask for a fee. That's how passionate I am about Richarlison.
I'll meet you at Birmingham, mate.
Nah, he hasn't. He has not set the world on fire being at Spurs, and he needs to be loved. And he came in at a difficult time with Spurs. Like with Conte was trying to play him on the right hand side with Son on the left and Kane up front. He wasn't going to start with Kane, and then he had several injuries. He just never really got going. And the way we're playing at the moment, he's not. I can't imagine he'll be long for Tottenham Hotspur. If there's a way out for him, he should probably take it in January. And if Everton would make complete sense because you guys love him and he loved being there.
Yeah.
You know? So
I think a similar scenario is like Grealish needs to be at a place where he's loved, and maybe that big fish in a smaller pond, but appreciated for what he does rather than being isolated the way he was, as you were talking about before.
Yeah,
but, I think we could get that the best out of Richarlison again.
You never, you can't deny his work rate and his desire, and he's fully on board. Like he does give everything. It just never just quite. It's just not worked at Spurs. So I mean, let's see. Hopefully, we'll be both be happy.
Yeah, definitely. Right, okay, Flav, I'm going to wrap this up, but it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Cheers, mate.
Just to make sure, these are all scanning the QR code to get your tickets for the Jimmy Martin event and Andy Johnson in February. It's in November, Dave. Come on, get it right. It's still October. Scan the QR code and you'll go to our website where you can buy our tickets. Looking forward to a really good afternoon with Jimmy Martin and also one with AJ. Talking about putting the ball in the red shite net. That's exactly what we love to see. But make sure you're liking and subscribing to the channel. Up the fucking toffees. Colin Chong, Flav, thank you very much, mate. Appreciate it.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.